Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to show you how to use a user control in your Windows Forms applications in C++. So this is what we're going to build in this video. So this is a very simple user interface. We have these three sliders and we have these three text boxes. And when we change the value of the slider or the track bar, that value is reflected in the text box. And also, as you can see in the panel, we get the corresponding color to these three RGB values, and then we can copy the HTML code or the RGB code, and then we have just a little reset button which just restarts our application, nothing fancy, and we are back to the beginning of our application. So that's a very simple application, but this is a very good demonstration of what we are going to do today. So I will first show you how the project looks, and then I will create the project entirely from scratch. So let's just close this one for now, and this is the project. So if I go to the Solution Explorer, I actually have two projects. I have one solution obviously, and then we have two projects. The first one is called User Control and the next one is called User Control Demo. So this one is the Windows Forms application project where I have my form, and the User Control project is where I have my user control, which is this part. So as you can see now, when I click that, both of this track bar and label are selected. Actually those are in one element. Okay, that's what the user control is. So we can combine different items from the toolbox and then convert that to a user control and then use that as one piece in our Windows Forms applications. So we have this user control project. So now if I go into the project and if I open my user control.h, then you can see the user control. So this just have a simple label and a track bar. So if I go to the code of this user control, you will see there are not a lot of code I have done here. So I have this private int called counter, and then I have this get counter method, which is public, which I can use in the my form because it's public, which will just return this counter. And then I have a property which is public. So this is responsible for, if I add the user control to a form, then I will see this counter text thing in my properties panel. So as you can see now, I have set it to red, but the default is my counter. So this is the piece of code that is responsible for that. So we have a string property, and then we have a get method and a set method. So I will explain all of this when we are typing the entire thing from scratch, but for now let's just look at the code and see how it looks, so you can get an idea what we're going to build in the end of this video. So then we have a public event. Now this one is very important because this is responsible for giving the value of the track bar to our main form or the host form. So in this case, if we change the value from the track bar, we are sliding it like this, then as you can see, the value is reflected on the text box. So this text box belongs to the my form and the slider belongs to the user control, and these two have no way of communicating with each other if we didn't have this event. So what happens is, when we change the slider or the track bar scroll event gets triggered, and then it will trigger another event called value changed, which we created right here. And then because that is called from the user control, we can add the actual implementation of that event in our my form by going to the events tab, and then you will see, when you go down, you will see, if I change this to alphabetical, you will see value changed event, and there when you double click on it, it will create the event handler for that event. So when the track bar is or when we change the value of the track bar, it will trigger the event of track bar scroll, and then it will trigger an event called value changed. And then in the my form, we can add some code to handle that event. So we have counter value changed, and then we have this piece of code where we set the color of this panel, and then we also get the corresponding RGB values of the color and put them into these three text boxes. And then the last part is not that much of a big deal because we are just using the set text method from the clipboard class to set the color of this selected color to the clipboard, or just copy that to the clipboard, and we have the HTML values and the RGB values set up. And then for the reset button, I just restart the application. So let's go ahead and create a new project. first we need to create a Clrmd project. So I will select that and I will give it a name. So in this case I will do color picker tutorial and then create. And now this will create an empty project. So we have to change the settings and add the main files. So let's do those stuff. So for the subsystem, let's select Windows, and in the entry point, let's put main, and then let's go to project, add new item, and then go to CLR and Windows form. And for the form, I will just keep it my form. And then as always, we will get the error. So now we can just close that, unload our project, reload, and double click on the myform.h file. And for the myform.cpp file, we need to paste the template code. So for that, let's go to cyber.web.app, and from this URL you can get the code anytime. And I will just copy that and paste it right here. Here we need to change the project name, so I will put color picker tutorial, and now we can close that. So this is the form, and there's nothing we have to do right now. We will add the text boxes and the panel later. So now let's create the other project. So right click on the solution and then go to add a new project. So you just right click on the solution, don't go to file new project, that will just create a new solution. That's not what we want. We need to add the new project to our current solution because that's easy. So let's go to the solution explorer, right click on the solution, add new project, and from here you need to select or just search for class library. So from here you can select CLR class library .NET framework. Make sure that's C++. Don't select the C# one because we need to do this in C++. So CLR class library .NET framework C++. So next, and I will give a name for this. So I will just name this user control, or we can call this track bar control and tutorial. Continue or create, and this will create our project. Now we can close this file. This is not what we want right now. And let's right click on this project, which is track bar control tutorial, not the color picker tutorial, track bar control tutorial, and go to add new item, and from there go to CLR, and from there choose CLR user control. Now this is very crucial. Select CLR user control, and then if you want you can give it a name. I will just add this, and now here is our user control, and now we will add the track bar and the label for this user control. So let's go to the toolbox and let's select a label and put it right there, and then we need a track bar, so search for the track bar and we can place it right here, and I will just extend it a little bit like that. And let's change some properties. So first I will decrease the height of this user control like that, and for the label let's just change the text to my counter. You can put whatever you need right there, and then for the label's name I will put LBL counter text, right? And then for the track bar I will change the name to track bar counter. And another thing that we need to do is change the if you go to categorized, then you can go to maximum, and right now it is 10. We want this to be 255 or 255 because colors work like that. RGB colors go up to 255, and you can put whatever value you want to suit the case you're using this. So in this case I'm just going to put it to 255 because that's going to be useful when we create the panel and we want to set the color from these track bars. So that's it for the UI part. So now let's go ahead and add some code to our user control. So let's right click on the user control and go to view code and go all the way down here, and where it says pragma end region you can add some code. So here I will first create a private int, and I like to name this as underscore counter. Of course we need to put the colon right there. I will set this to 0. The initial value will be 0, and then we will add a public method called this will be of int return type because we are going to return an integer, and this will be called get count. Okay, and here we will return underscore counter like that. Okay, so we will use this counter variable to store the value from our track bar when the track bar is used, or like when you change the value from the track bar, that value should be assigned to this counter variable, and then with this public method we can access that variable's value like this. So this is just some basic stuff, and then we need to create another public property. So let's create public property, and this is going to be of type string, and I will set this to counter text. Okay, so now we can create the get method. So this is going to return a string, because obviously we need to grab the labels text, so that's a string, and this should be named as get, and this does not have any parameters, and this should return lbl counter text like that. So this will return the text from the label when we access this counter text property. So now we need another method for the set method. So let's type void, because this is not going to return anything, so we can use void, and let's type set. This requires a parameter because we need to set the text we want to the label. So this is going to be a parameter of the type string, so I will give it a name like text, and for the function let's just set the labels text to text like that. So the text we pass into this function will be assigned to this label counters text. Next we need to create the event handler. Before that I will first build this project. So let's go to build and build solution, and then after you go to the myform.h file or the Windows Forms application project, and you go to the toolbox, you will see trackbar control tutorial something called components, and now you can drag this my user control to this project as well. So to show you that this is exactly what we created, I will just change the text from this user control to my user control. If I go here, it does not update. We need to rebuild the solution. So let's rebuild it like that. And now let's remove this guy and drag and drop this my user control. And as you can see, the text says my user control. I will change this back to counter text or something like that. And then let's rebuild the solution. And let's go to the myform.h file. From the trackbar control tutorial component section, from the toolbox, we can drag and drop it right there. So that was easy. You didn't have to do anything to add this user control to your project when you are in the same solution. So in this case, we have our Windows Forms application project in here, and then we have the user control project in the same solution. So let's say you wanted to use this user control in another project. So you don't have to create a new project and do the same thing. So then it will be the same thing. You can just not create a user control and create the components yourself in the main application. But if you want to use the control we already created, then you can create a new project. Obviously, you need to create the project that you want to use this in. So in this case, I have this other project called my first CPP GUI app, and this just have this simple label called hello world. I will just place it right there. And then if you want to use the trackbar control we created, you can just go to the trackbar's location or the DLL files location. So in this case, if you want to go there, you can right click on this project and go to open folder in file explorer, or you can right click on the solution as well. So let's right click on the solution. Let's go to open folder in file explorer, and this will open the folder where the solution is located, and from there go to x64 or x86 or debug or release, something like that. Don't go to these project folders, just go to something like x64, x86 or debug, something like that. And then if you go inside it, you will see this trackbar control tutorial.dll file. So the DLL will be named according to the project name of the project. So in this case, the name of the project is trackbar control tutorial. So the DLL file is named as trackbar control tutorial. Let's go to my other project, which is this simple Windows Forms app, and I will drag and drop this trackbar control tutorial to my toolbox, and it will be added to the toolbox like that. Now I can just drag and drop it to the form, and as you can see, I get that trackbar with this counter text. As you can see in this project, our user control has this label with counter text. So that is how you export the DLL. So now let's get back to work. When you go to the form, and we have added this trackbar control or the user control, and if you go all the way down here, you will see the counter text appeared in the miscellaneous section. So you can change this to whatever you want. So I will change this to red. Now we can copy this one, and all we have to do is change this to green. See, it is very easy when you have similar elements grouped using a user control like this. So if I did this without the user control, I will have to add the label and the track bar manually, and then I will have to change the label's text. In this case, it is not that hard because we only have 2 elements, but let's say we had a lot of elements, and then it will be very hard to keep track of all those elements in the main application. So now we can copy this one as well, and I will change its text to blue, and then this does not do anything. So if we run the application, it won't do anything because we didn't program any functionality, like we didn't code any event handlers. So now we can just move this track bar, but it doesn't do anything. So now we need to add that functionality. So before adding that, I will get a label and place it right here in front of this track bar, and I will change its text to, let's say, R. I will grab a text box, and this will be, I will change the text box's name, so it is going to be txtr, and I will resize it like this. And I also want to change this to read only because I don't want the users to enter the value manually. Now I can copy these two and paste it right here in front of this guy, and paste another in front of this guy. So this is going to be G, and this is going to be B for RGB, red, green, blue. Okay, so now we have our text boxes, and then I will add a panel as well just to finish our UI, and I will set it like this, and I'm going to change its name to PNL color like that, and I will change the back color of it to black because when the application starts, these track bars will be on the 0 location, or the value of the track bars will be 0. So then when the user launches the application, this panel should contain the color black. Next, we need 3 buttons to copy the HTML and the RGB values and then restart the application. So I will change this to copy HTML, and I will paste it right here, and another one right here, and this is going to be copy RGB, and this is going to be restart, and I will place these things like this. Okay, now we have these 3 buttons, and we will code them later because that's not very important right now, and we will look at the track bar control for now. So let's go to the myusercontrol.h file again, and now we need to create that event I was talking about. So this event is going to be public just like our property because we need to access that outside of our DLL. So we need to create a public event. If you really think about this, this has everything to do with delegates, if you know that. So if you don't know about delegates, I will link a video in the description in C# to know about delegates, but I'm not going to talk about them because we can do this very simply without knowing about that. But if you really want to know about that, you can watch that video. So we are going to create an event. So we type event. So this is a keyword like just like public, and this is not a type. So this is a keyword. So if you go to the IntelliSense, as you can see, event is a keyword. So it is not a type. So just like public. So we type event, and then we give the type for our event. So this is going to be called event handler. So this is the type of the event that we are going to create. So we don't have to create an object of this type. We don't have to create using this type event handler. We can create a delegate, our own delegate, and do that stuff. So again, you can watch the video in the description to get a better knowledge on this subject. But for now, I will just do it like this. So just understand this like this. So we are creating a public event. That's why we are putting these 2 keywords right here. And then we are using the event handler type to create our event. So the event's name is going to be value changed in this case because I'm going to see whether the value of the track bar has been changed. So now value changed event is created. Now we have the event. Now we need to trigger this event when the value of the track bar changes. So to do that, we will go back to the myusercontrol.h design file, and from there you can go to the track bar's properties and go to events, and then double click on the scroll event, and this will create an event handler for the scroll event. So now here we need to trigger this event. So we need to call this event. So here we are going to invoke that event, or trigger that event. So what we are going to do is type value changed, and I'm going to pass some default arguments for this. The first one is going to be this, and for the second argument it takes event arguments. So we can just type event args empty because we don't have any right now, and this is like a default thing you can do. You can create this event and then you can call that event like this in your scroll event or the place where you are going to trigger this event. If I'm going to explain this the video is going to be very long and it will be out of the scope of this video. So if you want to know about events and delegates, you can watch the video in the description. Okay, now that we created the event, just like we created a public property, we should see that event in our My Form and under the event section of our user control. So first we will build the solution. So let's rebuild the solution. So now when you go to the controls properties and go to the events, you won't see the event because we have an old instance of that user control in our project. So we need to remove this. Let's remove these 3 items and then add that again from the toolbox. So for now I will just add 1 because there are other things we need to change as well. So it will be a little bit troublesome when we are doing this again and again. So I will just add this once. So let's go to the events, and if you go all the way down here, you will see value changed. So now we can handle that event. So when we scroll the track bar, this event will be triggered, or the track bar scroll event will be triggered, and this event handler will be called, and this happens inside the My User Control or the DLL file. And when that is occurred, it will then trigger this event, this value changed event, and there is no way to handle that event in this DLL file. So what we are going to do is we are going to provide the method to handle that event inside our host application or the MyForm application. So when you go to the events of the control, you will see value changed, and here we can create the event handler. Now what we are going to do is grab the value from the track bar and put it inside of our text box. So how do we get the value from our track bar? The track bar is a private element inside our user control. So if you go up here, you will see that the track bar is private and we cannot access data from that track bar. So that's why we created this private variable called counter, and then we return counter in this public method. Actually, I just realized we don't need to do this because we can just return the value from our track bar. So I will type track bar counter and value. So we can just return the value from our track bar. With this method, we can get the value from our track bar. Let's go to the myform.h file where we have this event handler for the value changed event from the My User Control, and from here I will set the text of the text box to the value from the track bar. So to do that, let's type txtr, which is our text box. Its text is going to be equal to My User Control because that's the name of our user control right now. So if you go here and click on this user control and go to its properties, you will see the name is My User Control, and then we are going to get the value. So we created a method for that. We created get count like that. So this will give an integer value. Now we need to convert this to a string because we are going to assign an integer to a string place. So we need to convert this to a string. So let's surround this with a pair of parentheses, and here we will type dot to string. So we will get the integer value of the track bar using this get count method we created in this My User Control.h file, and it is public. That's why we can use it in this myform.h file. And we will convert it to string because we need a string to assign to the text of our text box. So now let's run the application and see whether it works. Hopefully it should work. As you can see, when I scroll this track bar, the value is reflected in this text box. So it works. I'm going to change some things a little bit. So I'm going to change the name of this user control to make it easier for me to handle my code. So I'm going to name this to track bar red or R, and for the text of the track bar, I will go to the counter text section of its properties, inside of its properties, and then I will change that to red, and we can do the same thing like this, like we did earlier before we remove that from our form. So this is going to be green and its name is going to be track bar G like that, and this is going to be blue and its name is going to be track bar B. Now we need to handle events for these two track bars as well. So let's go to the event section and go all the way down here. First let's sort this by alphabetically and then go to value changed, and we don't have to create a new event handler. We can just use the earlier one. So I will go to this drop down and select My User Control one value changed. So how this works is when the value or the user scrolls the track bar, it will trigger the event value changed, and the event handler for that value changed event is right here, and it will grab the text, or it will grab the value from the track bar and it will convert it to a string and it will assign it to the text boxes. So we need to grab the text from all of these 3 user controls and then assign that to the 3 text boxes. So first we need to change this to the name because we changed the name of the user control. So this is going to be trackbar R, which is this one, as you can see, trackbar R, and we will repeat this for the other 2 text boxes as well. So I will paste it like that, and text box G and text boxes and text box B. Okay, so text box G is going to be equal to trackbar G get count to string, and this one is going to be trackbar B. So I'm getting an error because probably I didn't change the name of these text boxes. So let's go to the properties of it and change the text to txtg and change this to txtb, like that. Now our code should work. So if we go down here, it should work. So let's run the application and see whether it works. Now I can use these sliders to get the value in my text boxes. As you can see, proper values have been added to the text boxes. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to pass those values to the background color of the panel. So how to do that? First I will create a new object of the type color, because you will see why. So name this as color, and then here I will assign the color to this color variable or the object. So to do that, let's go to color class, and from argb, with this method we can assign some color based on integer values like red value, green value and blue value, and also alpha, but we don't need alpha right now. So with this method you can assign those values to some other variable like this. So in this case we need to assign the values from these track bars into this color object. So the first one is going to be 255 because alpha is going to be full. So next we need the red value. So for the red value we can pass this part, and for the green value we can pass this part, and for the blue value we can pass this part, like that. And I will just minimize that properties window, and now we have our color. We got the color from the track bars and we assigned it to the color variable, like that. And now for the text boxes we don't have to write all of these. We can just type color.r. So this will give the red component of our color object, and let's do the same thing for these as well and change this to G, and this will give the green component and this will give the blue component. So now that is very easy. We don't have to type all of this every time we need that. So now we need to assign this color to our panel. So let's do that. I will type PNL color, which is the name of the panel we used here. So if you go to the properties, you will see it is called panel color, and PNL colors back color is going to be equal to color. So now this is the reason why we created this color object, because now we can assign the values once and then use it multiple times, as you can see. Otherwise we would have to write all of this every time. Now the color from the track bar values should be assigned to the panel. So let's see whether this works. Now as you can see, it's working. So that part works. So now we need to code these other 3 buttons. So this part is very easy. So first we will code this restart button because that's the easiest part. So we will type application restart because that's the easiest way to do, but not the most optimal way to do this. You should have a method in your track bar to reset your track bars, and then you can reset your text boxes very easily. Then you don't have to put this. You can just call those methods from the track bars. So that would be the more optimized version, but I'm lazy, so I'm just going to put application restart because this application is not that big and it is not much of an issue because it will launch right away. So let's go to the my form again and let's code these 2 buttons. So the first one I'm going to code is the HTML button. So here we will access the clipboard. So to access the clipboard we can just type clipboard like that, and here I will use set text. With this function you can set any text into your clipboard or copy something to your clipboard. So for the text we will use another class because we need to convert the color, this color object, to HTML, color translator to HTML. So this is the method that we are going to use. We use this class color translator and then the method to HTML. So this will convert any color we pass into this function to HTML. So we are going to pass color. Okay. So now when we run the application and I do some random color like that and I copy that, and if I paste it somewhere, you will see that the HTML code has been copied. And for the other button where we can copy the RGB value, it is also very simple. We use the same method, clipboard set text, but in this case we are going to get these values. So I'm going to copy this part plus comma. So this is going to be R and this is going to be G and this is going to be B. So I want the color to be copied like this because I actually looked this in just color picker. So if I launch that, if you copy the RGB value of some color, so let's say I want to copy this one and I want to copy the value, and if I paste it somewhere, as you can see, first we get the R value and then comma and then space G comma space and then B. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. We will get the R component and convert it to a string and then add this comma and then G component and then B component. And now let's run the application. So now this should work. Now let's get some random color and then let's copy the HTML and let's paste it somewhere like this, and the HTML is copied, and for the RGB it's also working, as you can see. And then if we want to reset our application, actually I should have named this as reset. I accidentally typed restart, but you can change that on your own, and we get this back with the values reset. That's it for this video. So hope you guys enjoyed it, hope you guys learned something new. So I have been getting a lot of comments to make a tutorial on this user control thing, and it is very not that hard to do, and it makes your work very easy when you use this in some cases. So you can use the knowledge from this video to create other elements for your applications, and I'd love to see what you can build using this knowledge. So if you want to showcase your stuff, you can join our Telegram group where we upload the project files of these videos, and you can chat with us and share your knowledge and discuss with other people like you, and then also get updates on our channel as well. So if you are into that, you can join our Telegram group. And also if you have any problem, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one with another video. Bye for now.